Hello, this is an historic moment for the Art Hunter. It's our 100th episode, and who better to do the show is me, David, and
me, Simon.
Which we're the producers of the show. I do the in front of camera, Simon does all behind the scenes stuff. So much work goes into it. It's a real pleasure doing it. And congratulations on our friendship that we've formed and 100 shows.
100 shows.
So here we are. Let's do a bit of a background on both of us. Give us your background.
Well, I started in the television industry a long time ago.
Okay.
Channel 7 actually. And I worked in there as a technician in videotape.
No such thing anymore, is there?
No, there's no such thing anymore. And I worked my way through, and for about 3.5 years I spent a little bit of time in news. And then I moved to a company called VTC, which was one of two post-production specialty post-production places in Melbourne. And they were designed to produce commercials. They had edit suites and they had telecine chains. So they used to transfer all the film commercials to videotape so they could be finished and then go to the station. So I worked there for a few years and as an editor, and then I became a director, and I became freelance, and I moved into producing, and I had many years of producing television programs, but mainly commercials and corporate work was my bread and butter.
Right, okay. Now, this business you have here at the Alex Theatre, you do with your brother, and he's your twin brother. What's his name?
Tim Barnett.
Tim Barnett, having a twin, growing up with a twin, how was it? Because the two of you fight like crazy, but like playful fight that siblings do.
Well, he started at Channel 7 as well. In fact, we had a third brother that started at Channel 7. So we all ended up in television, and Chris ended up at Channel 7 many years later in Lynx.
Right.
So that's four of us all went through 7 in Melbourne. But then Tim and I, we ran a production companies over the years. The first time we were doing commercials and doing our own things, but we were working from one production company. And then he built a company called Comcopy. Started off very small, but became a very big company. And it was duplication of TV commercials, and duplication of movies and things like that. So he built that company over a long period of time, and he started up Broadcast Rentals. Broadcast Rentals is a very interesting company because it was a big hire company, all high-end gear, top gear. All the networks would hire cameras and vision mixers and equipment like that off them. And then one day I was producing a Seekers TV special, and I was trying to get an OB van because that's how you did outside broadcasts, by using an outside broadcast van. And I couldn't get one in Melbourne, and I was thinking I had to get one from Sydney. But he said, "Oh no, we can do it, because what we can do is we can just set up in a room the whole system and wire everything together, and we've got a portable TV station."
Yep.
And no one had ever done that before.
Because they just thought you had to bring it in a van instead of just setting it up in another room. Wow.
So he did that, and that was the first time that I knew that actually happened. And then within a couple of years, he had a contract with Star Television in Hong Kong, and his OB equipment was flown in a container to around the world, and it used to do the French Open, the US Open, the Wimbledon, and little sporting things in between.
Wow.
So because they were able to outquote the big OB vans.
Yeah.
So and after that he sold that company, and we got together again and ran a production company again. Producing commercials and things, and then he I got involved with him in the studios, but I was in the commercial side, which never happened in the end. But he pitched the proposal to the government, and they loved it. So
to build
Dockland Studios.
Dockland Studios, wow. And the interesting little side story there is that a couple of episodes ago of The Art Hunter, we interviewed the wonderful Sigrid Thornton. Like, what a treat it was. And all the young interns we have that work the cameras and all that even wanted photos with her. They all knew her from The Man from Snowy River. Everyone knew her. And even my 12-year-old nephew that was here wanted a photo. And she was talking about, she's got an OA. And I went, is that for all the work you've done in, like film and television? And she went, well, yeah, but also the fact is that I was on a lot of boards, and the Brax government, when they were looking at whether it would be a good idea to actually have a film studio here, they asked me and this board that I was on to look at it and see if it would work. So I went in with a finished product saying, yes, it's a good idea. And what was it called?
It was called the Sigrid Thornton Report.
Yeah, which is amazing. So she gave them the report saying, yep, we should build a studio here. 3 days later, your brother Tim went in and said, I've got this idea. They went, funnily enough, we want to build it. Here's the report. So that was, and they met each other for the first time after the filming of that. So that's a gorgeous little story. So then all of a sudden during COVID, the Alex Theatre here, which we're in now, and we filmed The Art Hunter out from, and thank you to the Alex Theatre for letting us be here. They even dropped one of the stages, Alan, the general manager, dropped one of the stages to make it like a TV studio to film, for you guys to film the shows that you do here, including The Art Hunter.
Yeah, well, when COVID happened,
yep,
Tim and I decided we weren't going to stay home. And so we just started producing arts content. There was no money for arts content, so if you're ever going to produce anything for nothing, you might as well do it there, do it with the arts, We did a writers program, which we had a former mayor for City of Port Phillip mayor host. We got a co-host, Susan, to co-host that show with Dick Ross. And we had some other shows and that we just produced, and we just kept working.
Yep. Okay.
And it was the Alex, who were fantastic, because they've, they encouraged us to keep working.
Yep. Yeah, exactly, and have supported us.
Yeah, because there were no shows.
No shows, and there is still shows, but they're still supporting us, which is wonderful. Ask me about my background.
Well, David, where did you come from?
Okay, well, I'm an Adelaide boy originally, but I work for record companies.
Do we have to apologise for that?
No. And I was working for EMI in Adelaide, and I got a transfer to Melbourne, the big smoke, to look after Hey Hey It's Saturday, Countdown, and the radio here and the print media, and because there were so many magazines here at that stage. Amazing time. So all the big international acts that would come into town, I would look after them. And then I moved to Virgin Records, from EMI to Virgin, when Richard Branson still owned it, and that was a great time. Then I got a chance to go to BMG, and after a while with BMG here, I got transferred to head office. So I ran the whole media side of the company out of Sydney nationally, which was a great honour. And then I worked for Mushroom, one of their little independent labels later on, and my own PR company. And then I retired and decided to work at Joy up the road. And Joy 94.9, the only LGBTIQ radio station in Australia, and one of only a handful in the world. And it was a great opportunity. Never wanted to work, like presenting or paneling or anything, and then fell into it after about 4 or 5 years of being there. Now I do the arts program, Sunday Arts Magazine, and another program, and I love it. And through that, I've got to know so many people in the arts. And my big aim is to support the arts. And what better way is community radio and a community TV show. And we're on Channel 31, a community TV station as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, but how that started was I didn't even know you.
No.
Right. And Peter Bainhog of Rockwiz,
yep,
producer of Rockwiz.
Yep.
He had an idea to do an arts thing and pitch an idea to City of Port Phillip. And he asked us if we would help him do it, and we were very helpful. We love Peter; he's a great guy, and we're happy to work with him. So we said yes, and so although Tim was more involved than myself at that time, and that's when he got you. And you actually went out and shot it and the thing. I think I went to one location to help out.
Yep.
But, and that's how it happened, you know. And and that idea didn't go forward, but the council,
because of COVID,
you know, pressures and things. So and then you and I would bump into each other every now and then, and I'd say we should do something. And I think it was the third time you said to me,
well, about bloody time, let's do it.
Yeah.
And he went, all right, next week, can you get someone? So I invited, as our first guest, Marie Cootie, who, during COVID, I was handing over my social media to artists to give them exposure. And then I asked her, and at the same time, she said to me, let's do it. Her window for her store on Clarendon Street in South Melbourne, Melbourne
gallery.
Style Gallery and Store.
Yeah.
We took over the windows, a different artist each week, to display their work, and you know, like, and then would have to send a text message or an email to the name inside, and she called it the Art Hunter and designed the logo. And after about 5 or 6 artists that we did in the window, we went to this serious lockdown, so no one could travel to see the windows, so we had to stop doing it. So that then it was set up that we had name. I asked Marie if we could use the name and the logo, and she went, yeah, sure. And we used it through all the different exhibitions we've done, with anything we do live. She does the poster for us, and I help her out as much as I can with interviews on Joy, and always here at the Art Hunter as well. So, you know, like, small beginnings. Did you ever see it developing into 100 episodes?
I never. You never think about these things.
No.
You know, it's you know, we just kept doing it. The Alex were extremely supportive in us, because during COVID they had nothing happening, and we were the only ones doing stuff here.
Yeah.
Because we didn't need an audience, you know. We were just filming here, and they were very supportive and encouraged us to keep going. And when COVID lifted, then, you know, it took a while for them to get going, but they still encouraged us to keep doing what we're doing. So so they've been brilliant, Alex Bass and Alan Rendell.
Yep.
And we hope to, you know, that we the other programs we're doing will reach 100 as well. I mean, but let's face it, you know, the Art Hunter, it's unlimited because everyone wants to keep doing it. We're all volunteers on it. And
it's lovely. Look, I get a great reaction when I do an interview with people. The minute that we finish doing the interview, and it happens, and they don't know that they're all doing it, when I'm walking them out, they always say, thank you so much, and thank you for giving me this exposure that I wouldn't have got anywhere else. There's nothing else like this, and so thank you. And even people like Paul Grabowski, you know, who gets coverage all the time because he's so famous, he actually said, this show's important, David, don't let it go, this show's important.
Well, you remember all the people that we've had on it.
You know, you tend to forget, you know, like, because it's been there so many. Well, let's talk about a few of the highlights. What are some of yours?
I think it was Tony Elwood, because he's...
who's Tony Elwood?
Tony Elwood is the director of the National Gallery Victoria.
Yep.
And he's... the National Gallery in Victoria has a global reputation of being one of the best galleries in the world.
Yep.
So, and he came on our little program, because he's a support. I know he's a supporter of yours, and he's a supporter of the arts, obviously. And you know, he was fantastic.
Yeah, and he didn't even tell his, you know, like,
his publicist.
Yeah, you know, like, they didn't know. And I said, oh, did you, you know, he went, they don't have to know, I've just done this myself, I just wanted to do it. You know, like, I mentioned Sigrid Thornton being one of mine. She was so delightful for somebody that's done so much. She's just finished making this indie film, that's why she was here. And you're like, what a treat she was. Yeah. But a lot of those little artists that we do is the one that really excites me as well. And a lot of them are going on to do big projects. But then we've done a lot of actors as well. Jamoan Jamoan, the comedian, who is an old friend of mine as well. But like he's our biggest viewed on YouTube. Like no one's close to him. He's way out in front.
Yeah.
And every time he goes on tour, that because people are like thinking, well, what, we don't know enough about Jamoan. They find our interview with him.
Well, he travels the world, doesn't he?
He's somewhere in Europe as we speak. I think he's in Ireland. And the interesting thing is he wasn't all that big in Ireland or in England. He was more famous here in Melbourne or Australia, and then just built the reputation over the years by going to Edinburgh Festival, and now he's a bit of a superstar as well. So yeah.
I mean, you've been doing your radio show, your arts radio show on Joy for a long time, 10 years.
Yep.
So you've met a lot of these people. During that journey.
Yeah, and they become friends because we just don't do a one interview and that's it. I'm always happy to have them on a second time on the radio station each time they've got a project on. And then when we started doing this, they loved it because it's now available on YouTube for everyone to watch, and also on CTV Plus, which is part of Channel 31 and Channel 44 in Adelaide. So it's there now forever for people to watch.
So we're on Adelaide as well.
Yeah.
So it's a matter of, we want to build it and get more people watching us, and that will help us keep it alive in the end.
Yeah, and just, like trying to reinvent ourselves a little bit. And, I started off doing a bit of TikTok, and then a friend, well, it was Peter Bainhogler, said, "Oh, you should do more TikTok, David, because it's the way of the world." And I've gone, "Oh, I don't really want to, because I do so much on social media as it is." But you got to just keep on plodding along when there's no money. So you've got to try to keep on inventing, like bits and pieces along the way. All right. So what about some of the other highlights? There was this. You came to me with the opening night. It was called Six.
Yeah.
What's Six about?
That was the Six Wives of Henry VIII. Yeah, and that was just amazing. It was rock and roll all the way.
Yep.
It was a great show, and they actually the six actors actually came on the Art Hunter.
Yep.
We had six.
I know.
And
2 by 2 we interviewed them, because we couldn't have them all on the.
Yeah, but then we had them all
at the end,
and they were fantastic.
They were delightful.
They were so entertaining.
Yeah, and you see, mentioning Edinburgh Festival, that show, 2 English people wrote it about the Six Wives of Henry VIII, saying, we were badly treated, and bugger him, sort of thing. And as one of the girls said, her mother told them that it's the male that said, the sex comes from the male. And he kept on having daughters, and it was his fault, which of course back then you wouldn't have known that. But anyway, the show went to Edinburgh, and all the producers jumped on it because they went, "Wow, this is this is really cool," and developed it a bit more, made it a bit of a special show, and then came to Australia and it was a knockout. It was huge. I believe it's coming back in the new year. Which is good. And it was at the Comedy Theatre, which is one of the Mariner theatres. Yes.
Yeah, well, they're just amazing organisation.
Yep.
But Josh Pitterman, you remember him? He's the story that he told and how he got the Phantom.
Yep.
That was an amazing story.
Yeah, like singing on Sydney Harbour for Australia Day.
John Foreman rang him out of the blue.
Yep.
And said, and he wanted to say no because he was too frightened, and he said yes, and he started rehearsing right straight after the phone call, and then he goes and does that, and they see him in London.
Well, yeah, the tape went over to London. Andrew Lloyd Webber went, "Oh, we like this guy, let's get him over here." And somebody was sick along the way, and he never met Andrew Lloyd Webber at the time, but he got it through a demo tape. And he was back here in Australia when, I'm not going to get it because Andrew Lloyd Webber, I didn't meet him and all that. Next minute, he's off to London to star in Phantom of the Opera. Started doing it. Everyone loved him. He was a sensation. COVID came. 3 months later, the show closed down. It was on the West End. Like you couldn't get much better than that apart from Broadway. And then after 6 months, they went, well, we can't keep you all here. We're closing the whole production down. So he came back, tail between his legs. And at that moment, Sydney wasn't in lockdown. And Opera Australia, which is out of Sydney, went, oh, let's do for Phantom of the Opera. Hey, Josh Pitterman's just come back to Australia because it's been all over the news. He's just come back to Australia. Let's ask him if he wants to do it in Australia. Of course he did. Then Sydney went into lockdown. He went, oh no. But then we all came out of it, and he did Sydney Opera House, and then came down here at the end of last year, beginning of this year, to do Phantom in his hometown of Melbourne as well. And then he went off to do Les Mis in London, and he's just signed this new contract, but he's back here right this very moment. A beautiful story, a beautiful man, really great. I also mentioned about the Mariner Group. We interviewed Jason Mariner, where they own most of the theatres here. You found that was a great interview.
Yes, it was great, and he gave his time to come down on the little program and be interviewed. I mean, the types of people we've had photographers, Peter, a local photographer, Peter. He's been on the show.
Yep.
I mean, we're not limited to who we have on the show.
Yeah. We're not looking for all the big names. It's good to have the big names because it means more people will watch. But it doesn't have to be a big name. Like Enza. Our beloved Enza, who's here in St Kilda, got a little studio gallery here in St Kilda, and it was such a treat having her on the program. And I said to her, I'll always make sure I get you on. She went, oh, you don't have to because I'm not very well known and all that. I said, well, that's the whole idea of it. I hosted trivia night on Wednesday nights, and a couple of weeks ago, I was there, and this guy that, lots of regulars are there, and this guy came up to me and said, oh, David, everyone's been telling me I should watch you on The Art Hunter on Channel 31, and I haven't, and I did the other night. And he said, I really enjoyed it. You were really good. And I went, what, do you think I was going to be bad? No. And I said, who was it? And he said, oh, it was a guy that runs the Fringe Festival. And I went, oh, yes, Simon Abrahams. He said, oh, and my wife and myself went to a couple of shows after that because we were interested in some of the things you were talking about. So, it's really lovely when it's opening the door for a few of the people as well.
Well, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to promote the arts, and let people know what's going on, and we have a news arts program as well that mainly does that. But it even promotes the Art Hunter when we're doing something special.
We've got something special on, and a couple of years ago, and it was just at the end of COVID. And a few people were frightened to come out, and a few people couldn't come out because COVID was still around. We actually did 2 live shows on 2 different weekends, and it was called the Twilight Salon. And that was a great experience as well, wasn't it?
Yes, it was a live 90-minute show.
Yeah.
And the Community TV ended up running it as in place of a Sunday night movie. So,
which was fantastic, and it was great having a live audience there. The performance we had was a bit different. We had like a panel with the people that we had on the show that week discussing the state of the arts, and people found that fascinating. We should have made that a little bit longer, but like time restraints because we were running over, and as part of the celebrations for our 100th episode, we're doing a live show again as well with a live audience, and we're inviting everyone that can come back, because a lot of people are spread around the world, to actually come on and say what they've been up to since like they were on the Art Hunter the first time around. Because 3 years ago, it's a long time, 3 years.
It is.
Yeah. And, Patricia Piccinini, who's this visual artist who's so well known around the world, she gladly came on, and again, thanked us. And each time she goes out around the world, you see the spike in people watching her episode as well. So this is also a time where we need to thank people. We've mentioned the Alex Theatre, but tell our viewers how special it is what they've done for us during this last 3 years.
Well, they when COVID happened, you know, they could have just locked the building up. It would have been a lot cheaper for them just to lock the building up and while it was all in lockdown, but they didn't. You know, they allowed us to keep working, which we're really grateful that happened.
And the good thing is that once we got on Channel 31, we were a service, a community service. Yes. We're so lucky because the amount of creative people we know, like the music that we use for our intro, like musician, producer, composer, John Von Alen, who has a band called Paradox, who are a big electronica outfit around the world. I went to him and say, hey, have you got a piece of music? Because I know he likes doing just film music as well. He went, sure, I'll give you a piece of music. And he gave us a perfect piece of music, didn't he?
Yes, he did. It's a great track, and it's you know,
fits beautifully with what we do.
Yeah, so we're very lucky that we've had support from, you know, a number of people. You know, we've got the universities sending us interns. They're on the intern program where they're getting professional experience. And we've also got Tony Beauvais, who works with us.
And he coordinates those uni students and sets up and pulls down each time as well, which is great. So thank you. And you know, like there are so many, you know, like the graphics at the beginning, the wonderful Matt, who does our
Matt
intro.
Osborne, yes.
World standard. Yeah. World standard.
Well, he travels the world.
Yeah, such a great opener. And of course, we mentioned Marie Cootie before with the name and the logo. You know, so blessed with people we've had along the way, isn't it? It's just wonderful.
Yeah. And that all helped us get to 100 programs, but we can do another 100 programs.
Why?
You know, we can just keep going.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and I mean, so there's enough people out there, and people want to do it. I never get rejected when I go after people. The only thing that happens is that people go, "Oh, I'm going to be on tour," or "No, I'm in the middle of the next, getting ready for an exhibition. I'm not ready, but I'll be ready in a month's time," or whatever. So it's never, "No, we don't want to do it." I've never had that happen once where where everyone has actually said, "We'll do it, but I need a bit of time because I won't be here. I'm not ready," or people will change their appointments and stuff to fit us in. When it's because we only film once a month and we do a few in one day. To save on cost per se. So yeah, it's good. So your feeling is we can go for another 100.
Well, with the support, with Tim and myself, supporting it, and the Alex supporting it, what's going to stop?
Yeah. Do you know what the really interesting thing is? I remember it was about 4 months ago that you actually were sitting there editing, because we have to edit on a separate day. And we were sitting there and you went, "Do you know we're up to about 78, 80 episodes?" And I went, yeah, I know that. We're almost up near 100. And I was in shock. I went, of course we are. But I didn't see it coming.
Neither of us really thought about that.
No, and we didn't see Channel 31 coming, and how supportive, because we just went out on YouTube to begin with, and then all of a sudden I thought, because I do a little bit of stuff on Channel 31 with another show, and I thought, I'm going to go to them and see if we can get on. They openly said, sure, we'd love to have the show. So we were on that for a few months, and then all of a sudden you said, we should try for Channel 44 in Adelaide as well. And eventually they came on board as well. So we've got to thank both Channel 31 and Channel in Melbourne and Channel 44 in Adelaide for supporting us by having us on, and really happy with the way it's going. Being an Adelaide boy, as I said originally, the amount of feedback I get from Adelaide is fantastic. And here in Melbourne, I'm walking around the street sometime or in a shop, and somebody will go, "You're that arts guy, aren't you? That," because you don't realise, and they go, "Oh yeah, I am." I am. So people are watching, and I think the whole streaming services, and they're doing more and more of that. More people will be watching us as well.
So you might be wondering what this little white piece of paper he's holding down here is, right? He doesn't need it because we have auto cue. But it's his security blanket.
Yeah, but also I have used it today.
You have used it today because we don't have auto cue.
Yeah, and the thing is, I'm one of those people that I like to concentrate on who I'm talking, but because it's you, I don't feel I have to concentrate. So therefore I feel bad about looking down when I'm talking to them, and they would understand because they know what I'm doing. I have 100 of these, 100 of them, and I've kept them all. I've got them.
Really?
Yeah. There's now a TikTok where I drop them all from the ceiling. So that's on TikTok right now as we speak. And I've got to thank you for your support as well, Simon. I think it's wonderful what you've done. And the fact is that we've become friends through this as well. Because we've really got to know each other. Sitting there editing, we tease each other, and
because although we shoot it once a month, we edit every week.
Yep.
We have to,
Yep. And then we go and have a cleansing ale at the end of
afterwards. It's called a wrap.
Yeah, and we've also got to thank who hasn't been with us that long, probably about 5 or 6 months now, Anne Murphy. Who sits in on all the interviews now and takes notes as a volunteer and takes notes. So the images that when we're editing that we overlay, she finds them all. If the artist doesn't give them to us, she finds them all, and she sits in on the edit as well with us. And we've got all the images that we then just put into the mix of the show. So thank you, Anne, for your support.
And thank you for supporting me most of the time in our arguments.
We don't really argue. Disagreements.
Yes.
So so a great time had by all. Yeah, it really is. And we've had a few art auctions to get a bit of money along the way, and we had 70 people here that night. It was a good night.
The auction night at the Alex.
Yeah.
And again, the Alex supported us, and it's been wonderful. It really has been. So, and thank you out there as well for watching, either on Channel 31 when we go live, or CTV Plus in both Adelaide and in Melbourne. And of course the YouTube channel, which is just look up The Art Hunter, and which the lovely thing about that is Simon, is that people can watch it around the world. One of my best friends that I grew up with in Adelaide, who lives in England, and lived there for many years now, he watches it on YouTube, and he'll comment, and and he says, "Oh, I didn't watch any for a couple of weeks, and I watched about 3 in a row." And he mentions the certain people, and I found they're really interesting. And he actually even went after one and bought something online, an artist, and had it sent to England. Really?
A painting, yeah.
There you are.
There you go.
We should be on commission.
No, we're there to support the artists.
Yes, that's right.
So it's good. All right, so thank you so much for watching this 100 episode. And I had to put up with him, oh gosh, but grin and bear it, they say, it is showbiz. And we'll be back again next week, and it'll be episode 101. See you later.
See ya.